Welcome back, YouTube viewers. I must say in this last week that power supply has been dwelling on my mind. So I finally had to do something. After having it out and open, I said, well, I'm going to finish this thing off because I want to just rest this project and move on to the next part of it. So I took it all apart to get to that relay and got it all back together. It is now finished, buttoned up, closed, and ready for the next part. So let's take a look and I'll show you how it was done.
Well, what we got to do now is we're going to have to get down to that relay. And the first thing that we have to do when getting to the relay is remove these bus bars. Because the relay is connected to this. The bottom one here is the negative or ground bus bar. Shouldn't say ground, negative or 0 volt bus bar. And the top is the positive voltage or positive bus bar. There's a little resistor that goes between the two, levels them off, and discharges them basically through that resistor when it's shut off. Okay, so that bottom bus bar or the 0 volt bus bar does get connected to ground, and you'll see it through that chassis strap, that blue strap right in the middle of the picture there, towards the bottom middle. It goes directly to the chassis of the unit. And the right-hand side of that bus bar is connected to that relay, the relay we're trying to get to. So the relay is really actually connecting the negatives of the bridge rectifiers, which you see on the right, over to the negatives of the capacitor bank. Okay, and that's what that relay is doing. So what's across that relay is I'm just getting this out of the way as I'm doing this. But what's across that relay is some varistors. So the voltage will go through them because they're lower resistance at this point when they're off. So the voltage will go through them to that negative bus bar. So it actually conducts right there. But it'll do that slowly, okay? And as that capacitor bank starts to charge up, eventually it gets to a point where it activates the relay. And the relay then kicks in and bypasses those varistors. It will bypass them and short across them, and they're no longer in the circuit. If we left them in the circuit, they'd keep the voltage down, but they would eventually overheat and blow up. But the relay will come on when the voltage reaches high enough, and it will bypass those varistors. So what I got to do is I got to get that relay out so I can clean the contacts and clean everything else. And I'm just trying to get the screws out of there. That's the magnet just picking up a screw that's down inside there. And that's pulling the varistors out of the way. And you can see now I'll pull that bus bar up, but it's still connected now. It's the output of the bus bar is going off to the front panel where it goes to fuses and etc. like that. And same with the positive side, like that's going that way too. So all of these connectors are going to have to be removed to kind of get these bus bars out of my way. And I'm going to find also then I got to pull the capacitors out because the capacitors are blocking my access into that to get to that relay. The screw, or should I say, it's not a screw, it's actually got studs coming from the panel, and there's 2 nuts, not on each side. Well, those nuts are way down in there. I don't have any nut driver that's going to go down in there at this point. So what I got to do is get some stuff out of the way so I can get down there with a wrench underneath there. You can't even see where those nuts are at. They're so far down in there. That blue thing right there in the center, that's that strap I was talking about. That's a ground strap. It's actually a braided piece of steel there that goes down, and it screws down to the chassis. And it's connected to the negative bus bar, or 0 volt bus bar, if you may. Okay, now I'm removing the other ones, the other wires up near the top. These connectors are on extremely tight, which is good. This is what you want because you really want good contacts on those Stay-Con connectors. So I'm finding I got to kind of get the pliers between the connector and where it goes and use it as a sort of pry bar to pry off the connectors. I can't just pull them off. They're on way too tight to do that. You can see that, me leveraging it down there and prying them off of the connector plate, or off of the studs coming out of the bus bar. Okay, watch. Here you go. Here's a good example of it. Get between there, boom. Pry it back, there, pry it back, snaps right off. So there we got it. Positive bus bar, or positive voltage is out of the way. Negative bus bar is out of the way. And what I got to do, though, I got to find is, I got to get down there to get those caps out. So the caps are fastened with 3 screws. I've already taken 2. This is the 3rd one right now I'm going to remove. The other thing to watch as I'm removing this is you see above those capacitor banks, there's 2 transformers up there, which I believe are called the primary transformers. Okay, and I thought maybe with the capacitors out of the way that I could clean this debris, which you're going to see right now in a second. You're going to see now the debris that's down in there. I could clean the debris that's in there, blocking the vents that's underneath those transformers. But no such luck. So I'm going to actually have to remove those transformers, which are fastened from screws on the bottom, flip them over and get underneath there and clean out the vents at that point. So I'm going to show you that in the next step here. Actually, I'm going to show you the transformers out and the unit actually cleaned at this point. So there it is. Now those are the transformers flipped over. That white piece on the left-hand side is what goes down and screws it to the bottom of the chassis. That's the transformers are in that bracket there. You're looking at the bottom side of the transformers. And notice it's nice and clean now. I've cleaned that whole bottom out really thoroughly, so it's very, very clean. Now let's look at the relay. Now the relay is down in there. It's you can see it's pretty dirty. It's stuffed down inside there. And the mounting screws, like I said, are way down in there. So it's a little rough getting to it. And the varistors kind of moved out of the way. The things are all still there. But let's take this relay out. Now here's the relay out. I've actually cleared enough room where I can get wrenches down there, remove the bottom of the thing. And now I'm removing the wires that are coming from the bridge rectifiers that go to one side of the relay. They're all connected on that binding post there. You see them all connected in there, and then that connects onto there. And the varistors are basically bent out of the way. Now that red wire and the little black wire coming off there that I'm going to disconnect now are the 24 volts that run the relay. Okay, so when the power gets up high enough, that 24 volts will come on and that relay will kick in. So they got little tiny screws. I don't want to lose these little screws because they're smaller than the standard 3 mil screws that they're using everywhere. It's probably 2 mils, I guess these are. It's a German-made relay, so one could only think that's the case. And here's the relay, and if I flip it around, you could see I'm pointing there's the contacts. That's what we really want to get to and clean out, besides cleaning the rest of the unit itself. So let's take this over to the bench and see what we could do. Now there's the relay. You can see the varistors just sitting there. And this one stud there that holds that other thing on holds the varistors in place. And that's the relay as it stands. Normally there'd be a screw on either side there for those contacts. So right here, if I remove these 2 screws, I can pull out the bottom contacts of this relay, which will allow me to clean them separately from the relay and make it a lot easier to work on rather than trying to get something in there to burnish it or something like that. So there you go. You can see the contacts. They're scored pretty bad, and there's a lot of oxidation and dirt on them. And there's the other ones on the other side where they come down, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take them over, polish them with some abrasives, and file them clean and get them back together. And there they are now, ready to go back together, nice and clean. Both sets right there where they contact, you can see that. And so we put it back together. We just flip this piece in here. Now this piece here that goes on here will need to be aligned. This bottom contacts will need to be aligned because you can see there's a slot there. So if I put this together and I push it down too far, the relay never engages when that comes down. And if I push it up too far, it's going to engage a little too much. So, because it won't disengage. So I got to kind of like fool around and do this. And I apologize that I'm sort of off camera because I'm kind of fighting with trying to figure out how to hold this in the viewfinder and film it at the same time. But what I'm looking for is trying to get those contacts to grip down or come down when the relay engages. And I'm going to get a piece of paper and put the paper there and kind of pull it through and see how it does. So, I'll snug them up right now for a second, just see how it is. And I'll find out that it could be a little tighter. They're not quite engaging correctly. So we'll play around with that alignment, loosen them up again. Like I said, I'll get a piece of paper here, try running a piece of paper in there, seeing if I got enough of a gap, and then it can close down like that. And they coming out too clean. It's just not dragging enough on there. I need a little more pressure. So I'm gonna have to loosen those screws up. Just give it a little slight push upwards or downwards, any way you want to call that, and get it closer to the wiper part of the relay. And that'll allow it to engage the relay really a little bit better. And see, I'm pressed down there, getting a good drag there now. And you notice too that those papers is coming out clean because those contacts are clean now. If you did this on a dirty relay, you'd get black as you swipe that out of the relay. Again, I apologize. I'm really way off camera when I go through this tightening of this stuff. But you could see that's how the relay engaged there real nicely now. Both contacts coming in perfectly the same point, and they both back off nice and easily at the same point there. So the relay actually looks good at this point. And we're just going to put the varistors back on. They mount with that stud, which then will connect to the negative of those bridge rectifiers again. But this is just kind of putting them back in place so I can mount the relay back down inside the unit itself. And again, off camera, sorry. But there's the relay done, ready to go back into the unit. Now here's the unit. It's clean. It's perfectly clean. There you can see the capacitors. They're clean. You're going to see farther up here, the relay itself, totally clean down in there. Vents are clean. Everything. This thing is looking like brand new again. I've pulled out all the dirt, cleaned everything. Everything's tightened back up, and it's ready to go back together and into the unit.
Thank you all for watching that. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm really happy that power supply is done. This has been one of the things that's been bothering me in this whole project because I was a little worried about what state it is. The power supply itself is interesting because I don't have a schematic that matches this supply. The schematics I have show a slow start circuit or soft start circuit, and this doesn't have it. This has a slow start circuit, but it's nothing like the ones that I have in the schematic. So my schematics of power supplies just don't match it. Any of you guys got one on this machine, please let me know, because I really would like to look a little closer what's actually going on in this power supply. I know it's different than the A820 schematics that I see on the internet and I have. So, in any case, thank you for watching. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and click the bell for notifications, and I'll let you know when the next one's coming out. Thank you very much.